pretty exciting for us, being a narrow boat, full VMG run the whole way to Hobart. So there's a couple of transitions that might form though, which could get really tricky, and that'll compress the fleet if that happens.
And you've done a number of changes to the boat, not least I think in sails. Is that going to improve the VMG as well?
Yeah, big time. I mean, we've done some really good stuff with our sails since Hamilton Island Race Week. A new VMG running spinnaker, which is extremely fast. I mean, we're going quicker than we've ever gone before in those conditions. So. And we've done some really cool reaching sails this year, which we've never had before on the boat. So to try and close that gap to Comanche.
And for the technos that are interested in such stuff, what's the changes for a spinnaker that gives it even greater VMG? Is it literally area, or is it a little bit of depth and camber?
No, it's all about shape. I mean, we sort of got. It's really hard. These Volvo sailors and everyone. I mean, they're amazing boats, but they're very different to our boat. And I think we sort of got off track with our design. We sort of started going down the fat boat spinnaker design, which is much flatter sails, bigger, which just don't suit wild oats. She's narrow. She's got to be able to point downwind and not heel over, sort of thing. So we lost our way a little bit there for a few years. We're back on track well and truly over the last 12 months, and then our latest generation spinnaker, which was designed by the local 18-foot skiff boys in the Sydney North Sails Loft. This sail's got a beautiful twist characteristic. So the windier it gets, just the head just twists off, which helps our riding moment situation, and just it's a very fast sail. So
presumably means you can carry it just that bit longer if you've got a bit twist out of the top.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, and that's the beauty about this boat. When it gets really windy, we saw that in last year's race when we put a lot of miles out of Comanche. We can just keep going downwind, whereas they can't. So it's very powerful.
Last year we were a bit off the pace. This year we've modified the boat to come more in line with the current thinking. So a longer keel fin. Not that simple, but there's to do with the rake of the fin and moving the bulb aft and stuff like that to stop the boat being so bowed down in heavy air running.
So that presumably helps you. It's interesting just even looking at the bows when you and Wild Oats are going really hammering is, Wild Oats has got so much less spray now because of moving the rig back. So presumably some of that keel stuff is to sort of get your centre of effort further aft and things, yeah?
Yeah, exactly right, yeah. So we just had to, they did it in a way where the expensive part of this asset is the keel structure and the chain plates, because that's thousands of man hours and thousands of layers of carbon. And so what they did in their move is they kept that bit as a one part and extended the bow out the front. So we've kept that bit in one part and raked the keel underneath. The problem with the way that I see with the way that they've done it is they create a thing called stern immersion where the stern sinks in the water, and that's largely why they're not as good as they were in light air, or probably as good as us in light air, sub 6 knots, proper light air. But as soon as the wave breaks off the stern, and for them it'd be about 8 knots of boat speed, then it all equals out again. So, it's a trade-off, this thing. There's no free lunch, for sure. Yacht design has taken some pretty interesting paths over the course. It's always been influenced a lot by Volvo and the Round the World race. Now that's one design, it doesn't come into play so much, but at the Volvo 70s, that sort of thinking got pushed into yacht design and largely to the detriment of windward leeward style boats. From to the 2010 from 2005, I could give a lot of good examples, and I feel like it's starting to come back to them a bit now.
It's almost like sailing a multi-hull when you lift one half of the wetted surface out of the water, off it goes. We've reduced that number. It used to be our sort of the number we began to get worried about was 10 or 11 knots, but now it's down to about sort of 8 knots, just with some of the mods we've made and a bit more understanding and experience with the boat. So I'm a lot less worried about the light air performance. If it's really light, then we can't help but drag the ocean behind us.
So tell us a little bit about what those mods are. Are they mostly tweaks? So rig, sail, keel, what are we doing?
We've changed the winches from manually powered to hydraulic, which puts us in line with the other 100-footers. Comanche was equipped with manually powered winches in order to qualify for race records. But the difference that's made has been twofold, really. We've reduced our crew numbers, and that probably saves 500 kilos perhaps that we carry all the time. But secondly, it just allows us to operate the boat with a bit more agility and trim a bit more aggressively, whereas before, when you had an opportunity to enhance the boat's performance, a short-lived opportunity, by the time you have 6 guys off the rail on the winches, trim the sail, you might have missed the opportunity. Now we can do it the same as all the other guys, so that's made quite a difference.